All right, good evening, guys. Ken of Tortoise Capital. This is the nightly strategy podcast for Sunday, July 11th, 2021. Congratulations to Italy and Novak Djokovic. So that was 2 for 2 today. All right, we're going to look at our standard trade frames for the week ahead. With a lot of positive momentum going into the week from the strong finish on Friday. I'm looking forward to this week. One more week of soccer camp and then back to work. So this is Caterpillar. We've got the weekly, daily, hourly. This is setting up nicely for a Kata 2 continuation play. You'll notice on the daily that the dragon has bottomed. The pullback did not penetrate as deep as the previous penetration, so the RL10 is actually has bottomed higher, and we got we'll be ready for an RLXD move tomorrow. I like the entry above the RL10. That'll be a clear sign of strength ahead. You'll have about a $6, looks like about a $6 risk. I would be prepared if I wanted to do this as a hybrid trade with a day trade, that I think I'd have my stop at like 216. So if this takes off, I think you could be at 216 or even 217 and get a better position size. I think the run to 224 is pretty straightforward. But resistance at 224, I'd be ready to cash that as a day trade. But if it gets through 224, then I think you're justified in a second position for a swing, because now it's going to close that violent sell-off between 226 and 236. Good solid support is in place over the last 4 weeks at 212, so I think you're in good shape on this one. This is emerging markets, and all of the globals have been lagging. And we were tracking this as a really good critical state day trade. I'm not prepared to swing trade this one yet because the day trading is so good on it. This gap up and go from Friday was just excellent. And so this would be the second day of momentum, and as soon as it breaks above the high from Friday, it should close that gap pretty quick to the high of the day on Thursday, and that's a justified second position, because then there's another gap that it has to close to get all the way back into the daily river. This has been you're trading basically a sideways quiet channel that's forming on the weekly, so you want to make your hay in between in between those peaks. So this is set up really better as a day trade than a swing trade. But if you make money on this, I'd be willing to hold a fifth of the position overnight. And if you made money Friday, then you should be willing to keep 1/5 as a swing trade. I like that one for Monday. Let me reload Twitter. I'll come back. We only got partial loads on this one. All right. Wheat and precious metals. The weekly has set up into a critical state. We're going to jump ahead to wheat and precious metals. So the weekly has went from winter, spring, summer, has pulled back to the edge of the dragon and is holding support and is ready to break out from a critical state. You can see that critical state on the daily very nicely. I really like this frame and everything about it, getting a second position above that spike, and then you'll be well prepared to let this run up into the previous sideways dragon up in here. And yeah, this one's straightforward on 60 minutes as well. So good looking trade. The short side is really available too, because if this, hard to read that price. Yeah, so if this breaks below, what's that price? 43.85. Then 43.20 happens pretty fast. And if that breaks, then you get a nice big move all the way down to 42. So that, yeah, this one is prepared to break out in either direction. Good looking frame, both directions. All right, this is Twitter. The weekly recovery is very nice, and you got a critical state at the edge of the river. And here's our critical state. It had a strong recovery from a doji on Thursday, a strong directional move along with the rest of tech on Friday, and it won't take much for that to break out to, if it breaks the peak of this RL10 here, then that's also breaking this dragon, and then it gets up into this region pretty fast. So, yeah, so you noticed a 1, 2, 3 entry as well as a mechanical entry. And I like the second and third positions. The downside is easy to see too, and if that second position breaks, you're in great shape for a move to Z3. PayPal has just been scoring big time on the weekly recovery out of the Kata 2. You can see the Kata 2 even more clearly on the daily chart, just a rocket ship. And, you know, if it breaks out, it gives you the mechanical entry. The all-time high is in 1 day range, and you're going to be glad of that one. The breakdown, yeah, now that would be a surprising move to the downside, but I think but you get two positions in there, would there be people ready to bail out of these to protect their profits? That's kind of what you're hoping for, and that would be a strong play. But this had such a vigorous move off this Kata 2 that I don't think I would try to play this as a long-term short. That's a tactical short only to me. Wheat and precious metals we already looked at. All right, so Cliff on the weekly is very strong, a brilliant close here. The daily's breaking out on a Kata 2, and it's going to come up here and test the previous highs along with the rest of materials, and then you can just see that double top is going to break and go, and that's when I would probably even be willing to put a double scoop position on the right at the entry. Just betting that this, along with materials, is going to really rock. Short side, that's a good, if it breaks through that red line, this would be a rejection of the upside tail, and you'd be getting the, story. The upside story would have failed, and then you're really trading that solid channel, aiming for this lower, hard to read that lower price, just a minute. $20.81. Yeah. So yeah, if this breaks, then you're in a channel trade. All right, this is lithium. This is still an open position for Ken H. In great shape. I think I'd be getting my stop to. I think about 77, 75 in a hurry, like, you know, just below the VWAP. I'd want to lock that in. I'd also be ready to add a second position on this one. That's a brilliant swing and great re-entry, and made nice bank on that one. In perfect shape. It's off and running. Tesla, you're playing the Kata 1, 2, 3 entry on the daily, and that was a strong Kata 2 move on Friday. And then as long as it's above this 650 critical state. 700 is in play, and you take that in two stages. One, it's got to get through 680, so that's a $25 move, and you got I'd be using about a $5 risk here. I think that's kind of a wide risk. If this starts moving, I'd rather have a better position intraday and then keep 1/10 as a swing. The breakdown short, you're front running if you take this one, you're front running the collapsing dragon. That feels like a good trade because it'll head back to 600 if that fails. Team at Atlas Corporation in technology software. Tech has been really strong. This has cleared the weekly resistance. The sideways quiet channel looks like it's resolving to the upside. It was able to cash a winning swing just to keep it in the money. The recovery was reasonable and had a strong move. And now you're betting on the PSAR flip, and that it'll take out this peak, and then it's so near the all-time high that you're off and running. So it is, the all-time high is right there. So I think that's a nice play. That's a nice play. This would have been a heck of an intraday, and then keep a piece. It'd be nice to already have a piece in hand by keeping keeping 1/5 of the swing. But now you're getting a continuation play. Yeah, and then by the time this breaks above the hump of the dragon, you should be at no lose plus dinner for 2. I like that trade. QS, these are the Volkswagen battery makers. Along with lithium batteries, this is just locked in solid support around 25. I don't think you can go wrong on this one. What a brilliant entry that's going to be at 25 even. Man, that's just going to work. And then if it fails, this might be my number one play for tomorrow. If you saw weakness in LIT and this thing was starting to fail, would that be massive? But I think the recovery now gives you this channeling trade, and your expectation would be at 30, going from 25 to 30, plus $5 on a 50-cent risk. That's 10 to 1. Man, it's going to be good. It had really positive close on Friday. I'm excited about that one. NVIDIA has just won the chip space completely. The semiconductors are at a premium, and there's a shortage worldwide, and these guys are just crushing it. You got a brief sell-off and a 1, 2, 3 entry on the daily just to get back in, and I think you'd be much more likely to see 830 than 740 is my take on this one. I don't know how you go wrong on this. Long side is really favored. Real estate, this was almost like a weekly caught at 2 and just is continuing to make gains. Real estate prices are going up all over the place as the large pension funds and hedge fund managers are trying to buy up all the single family housing. So IYR is just crushing it. And I wish we could have gotten a re-entry in here, but I think I'd be buying this one at 105.5, and then I think I'd be using about a 50-cent stop to get a good position size on it, because once that breaks above here, it's free and clear. And who is going to sell that ETF? Nobody. That's a long-term keeper. We've been in this one for a while now on blended monthly rebalancing, just crushing. The Russell, this is a 1, 2, 3 entry continuation, and you're looking for it to get to 232 tactical trade, betting on the U.S. Better as an intraday than a swing, I think, but it has some ground to catch up to the S&P and to the tech. So this is actually a value play, and you're looking for it to get to 234 off this double bottom. Clean Energy has made the turn on the weekly, and the slight tactical pullback has given you a chance to play a 1-2-3 entry. I love this as a tactical trade, and if it closed strongly, like above 90 or even 91, I'd be keeping 1/5 of that trade. So you're catching this right at the nice turn. Tactical trade only. ARC Innovation, along with Tech, is making a nice pause that refreshes. This is a 1-2-3 entry, and you're front running the RLXD. No brainer. They're back. 132 is the target. Coinbase has put in a nice base of support around 225 here on the weekly. You can see that on the daily, the dragon has turned at 225. There was a SSC here, support of Spring Crossing. I would treat this as a COTA 2 and continuation, and you're really going to like that trade as it gets back to 280. That's a $30 potential upside, pretty straightforward. And you're only risking $10, so that's 3-1. And the Z3 expansion is just starting to happen. That's in great shape. All right, lots of good ones there. I love that quantum space. Oh man, is that going to be nice? Coinbase, I think, is a keeper too. All right, guys, good job. My wife and daughter are safely back from their California road trip with the, family heirloom furniture that they drove out to get, and so I got to go help them unpack. So I'll get this published and posted in the usual spot. Thank you so much for your hard work. Let's keep that risk measured and powder dry and ready to go for tomorrow. Take good care.